Trapped by darkness, this house holds a Genie's bone-chilling secret. Watch if you dare. The old Thompson house had always been a source of whispers and chilled spines. Its cracked facade loomed behind twisted branches, a dark silhouette against the setting sun. Local kids dared each other to sneak inside, but few ever had the guts to do it. They spoke of shadows moving on their own and the angry wails that echoed from within the walls, like a banshee's cry begging for help. Some said if you listened closely, you could hear the clinking of metal chains, they believed, binding something ancient and powerful. Who needs Halloween when you've got the Thompson house? They laughed, but fear flickered in their eyes like the dying light that as dusk fell. The rumors twisted into something more sinister. Legend claimed a genie was trapped within, locked away in a coffin made of bone, hidden in the deepest corner of the cellar. It was said that whoever found the coffin could unleash unbelievable power or become its next victim, twisted and forever chained. The children leaned into this tale, imagining cursed magic sparking in the air, a firework of danger igniting excitement. Whispering through the trees, tales of a light that could blind the devil danced through every sleepover. The air grew heavy as an icy wind slapped against the house. Branches scratched the windows, clawing at the darkness inside. A group of brave souls, Jack, Sarah, and Marco, stood at the front door, hearts racing like wild horses. They made a pact to go in together, driven by curiosity and the thrill of the unknown, their ribs tightening with both fear and excitement. Jack knocked, the sound echoed with an unnatural resonance, as if something inside was waiting, watching, plotting. Suddenly, the door creaked open on its own. A chill shot up Sarah's spine. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, breathless. The dark hallway seemed to beckon them, shadows flickering like ghostly fingers. They stepped inside, each footfall plunging them deeper into the abyss of their own fears. The air was thick and tasted of dust, a forgotten home abandoned to time. They caught glimpses of pictures on the walls, faces turned away, as if the house itself was turning its back on them. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." With a flickering flashlight, Marco pointed to a staircase spiraling down into darkness. "We should check the cellar." The words hung in the air like a dare. They hesitated. An eerie silence replaced their laughter. Then, Sarah felt at the crawling skin, the weight of unseen eyes boring into their backs. A deep roar of wind howled from below, a sound so terrible it seemed to vibrate in their very bones, but the allure of the unknown was impossible to resist. Heartbeats racing, they descended what felt like an eternity, every step echoing a question: what truly lay in the belly of the Thompson house? Just as they reached the bottom, a flicker of light flashed from a distant corner. It flickered like a flame, bright, teasing. What was it? Their hands trembled as they exchanged glances that said everything. They had to find out. The air thickened with the promise of something unforgettable, something terrifying. It pulled them closer to the unknown. And just beyond that flickering light lay a secret buried deep, waiting to reveal its bone-chilling story. The flickering light danced ahead of them, swirling in the darkness like a beacon begging for attention. Jack took a careful step forward, squinting into the shadows. What if it's just a candle? Or worse? His voice trembled as he spoke, each syllable echoing like a warning to the others, but before anyone could respond, Marco pushed ahead, drawn by an invisible force. "Simon, we're not turning back now." His bravado faltered as the light flickered again, plunging them momentarily into darkness. Sarah hesitated, feeling the pull of fear gripping her chest like a vice. They all heard the same stories. This house thrived on fear, feeding off it like a parasitic creature. The trio edged closer, whispers punctuating the silence. Each footstep echoed ominously, as if the house itself was counting them. A musty smell enveloped them as they approached the source of that strange light. It pulsed in shades of orange and red, illuminating warped, crumbling walls covered in sigils and lines that seemed to writhe under their gaze. "What is that?" Marco murmured, staring at the light. It wasn't just a flicker, it seemed alive, pulsating with a heartbeat all its own. "I don't like this," Sarah whispered, a lump forming in her throat. "We should leave now." Jack reached for her arm, his touch grounding. "We can't back out now. We need to see what it is." The moment they stepped into the room, the wind howled again, a mournful wail that echoed off the walls. The source of the light was revealed: a small, ornate lamp, encrusted with gemstones that sparkled like trapped stars. The air around it shimmered, and with it came the distinct sound of chains rattling, soft yet threatening. "Wait!" Sarah gasped, pulling Jack back just a fraction. "Remember what we heard? About the genie?" Her heart raced as they looked at the lamp. "What if it really is cursed?" As if in response, the rattling grew louder, turning into a chorus of tormented voices, murmuring incoherently, urging them to leave. But instead of retreating, Jack reached for the lamp, curiosity winning out over caution. "Let us see, maybe it's just a story," he declared, his voice brittle with bravado. "No. Don't touch it," Sarah cried, panic tightening her gut. But it was too late. Jack's fingers brushed against the cool metal, and the moment he did, a deafening roar erupted. The lamp shuddered violently and bursts of light shot out, swirling around like a whirlwind. The shadows coalesced and morphed into indistinct shapes, echoing the despair of ages, lost souls caught forever in the house's clutches. Just then, the air grew heavy, thickening to a point where it felt suffocating. The ground began to tremble beneath their feet. "Jack, get away from it!" Marco yelled, pulling at his friend, but it was as if an invisible force held them all in place. The room darkened even further, a palpable evil swelling as whispers transformed into a cacophony of furious screams. "You've awakened me." The voice resonated, ancient and powerful, wrapping around them like chains. "What have you done?" Sarah screamed as the swirling light turned ominous, a shadowy figure materializing amidst the chaos. They were no longer just children in an old house, they were trespassers stirring something primordial, something that hungered for freedom. Before they could comprehend their fate, the figure lunged forward, an outstretched hand reaching towards Jack, who stood paralyzed by fear and awe. And then, in that deafening moment before everything collapsed into darkness, a single thought pierced Sarah's mind: they had awakened a force that should be stayed locked away. What awaited them now, chained within the walls of the Thompson house? The shadows loomed large as screams echoed, and the truth hit her hard: nothing would ever be the same again. What would they unleash next, and could anyone truly escape the darkness that sought to claim them? The world around them disintegrated into chaos as the darkness closed in. Sarah's breath quickened, her heart pounding like a drum within her chest. The room felt alive, pulsating with malevolence that seeped into their bones, chilling them to the core. Jack finally broke free from his trance, stumbling backward as dread washed over his face. "Run!" he shouted, his voice barely cutting through the cacophony of screams. Marco grabbed Sarah's arm, yanking her away from the violent swirl of shadows that seemed determined to pull them back into the depths of despair. They darted for the door, but it was as if the house itself had shifted, trapping them in its suffocating grasp. The walls twisted, moving closer, the sigils appearing to writhe more aggressively, the jagged lines crawling like snakes. Jack turned, his eyes wide with fear. "We can't just leave. We have to do something." His voice cracked, and desperation seeped into every word. "No. We need to escape," Sarah insisted, the terror clawing at her throat. The weight of the howling shadows bore down on her, making it hard to think clearly. She saw the figure again, its hand reaching out, fingers elongated and twisted, almost beckoning. "Maybe if we..." Marco started, but a violent wind whipped through the room, cutting him off. With an ear-splitting screech, the shadows surged forward, envelopes of darkness that swirled around Jack and Marco. It felt like cold hands clutching their throats, and every instinct screamed for them to flee. Yet, the more they fought their urge to flee, the more rooted they became. It was as if the darkness was feeding off their fear, growing stronger with each heartbeat, each terrified breath. "Jack! Do something!" Sarah's voice rose above the din, but her words felt swallowed whole. Panic drove her eyes frantic as she looked for an escape route. A shattered window behind the figure glimmered with unwelcoming light. There, just beyond the grasp of shadow, lay their only chance. Over there. She shouted, breaking the spell of fear that chained them. The window. But just as they pivoted, the figure's voice boomed, slicing through the chaos, rich with a sinister kind of glee. You dare to flee? You awakened me, and now you belong to me. That voice wrapped around every fear they had ever known, pulling it to the surface. The trio hesitated, feeling the weight of the fate that loomed over them. Jack offered a defiant glare, the flicker of resolve rekindling in his eyes. We're not yours. He shouted, clenching his fists. Then faced the wrath of eternity. The figure shrieked. Run! Marco urged again as the shadows lunged. And they did, sprinting toward the window, hearts racing, the space around them constricted, the light outside almost tangible. Jack made it first, hurling himself toward the glass with all his might, his body colliding with a solid wall of withering energy. He gasped as the air, thick and acrid, stung his lungs. Go! Sarah yelled, pushing Marco forward as he collided with Jack. The glass shattered, spewing shards in all directions, but the shadows were still swirling, still alive. They pulled back, hovering just out of reach, as if embedded by a dark intent. Then, in a shocking surge, the shadow coalesced, forming a visage, a twisted reflection of Jack's face, that agonized fear swirling in its eyes. You cannot escape your destiny. It is intertwined with mine. The realization hit them all at once. They hadn't just awakened the darkness, they had unknowingly forged a bond with it. Jack's expression morphed from shock to grim determination. We'll find a way to break it, together. The intensity in the air thickened, crackling around them in an electric charge as they dug deep within themselves, grasping for the strength they needed to battle against the malevolent force that sought to claim them entirely. Yet behind them, the darkness laughed, a deep resonating sound that echoed through the fragments of shattered glass. It whispered to them, planting seeds of doubt and despair, you can run, but you can never hide, with a final desperate push towards the chaotic light beyond the window. They knew the battle was only just beginning. What secrets lay hidden in the shadows? Would they unravel the truth and reclaim their freedom, or was this the beginning of a much darker journey? They leapt into the unknown, not prepared for the challenges ahead and not quite knowing the darkness they had awakened. They crashed through the jagged glass, landing hard on the damp ground outside. The cool night air bit at their skin, a stark contrast to the oppressive heat of the house they had fled. For a moment, they lay there, panting, hearts racing as they tried to comprehend what just happened. Get up! Marco gasped, scrambling to his feet. We can't stop here. Jack looked over his shoulder, half expecting to see the shadows pouring out after them, ready to drag them back into the depths. But instead, there was only silence, and unnatural, hanging silence that felt more threatening than the noise of the chaos they had escaped. Where's the figure? Sarah asked, her eyes darting around. The darkness had swallowed the house whole, now only a dark silhouette against the starless sky. Did we really lose it? A low, echoing laughter floated through the air, sending chills down Sarah's spine. You think you can escape my grasp? The voice slithered around them like a serpent, deep and unsettling. It filled the space with a chilling dread, creeping into their minds like a slow poison. Jack's fists clenched, fueling his defiance. We're not afraid of you. Ah, but you should be. The figure's words were dripping with malice. You have entwined your fate with mine. Every step you take leads you deeper into my domain. Marco's face twisted in confusion. What does that even mean? We weren't trying to awaken you. Intentions hold no weight in this game of shadows. You have released me, and now I shall reclaim what is mine. With every word, the shadow's presence intensified. Tendrils of darkness curled at the edges of their sight, reaching out, seeking to pull them back into its embrace. Sarah felt a wave of panic rise in her chest. We need to move now. They staggered to their feet, adrenaline coursing through their veins, and began to run. The pathway in front of them twisted and turned, a labyrinth that seemed to change as they rushed forward. Trees loomed like specters in the night, their branches clawing at the sky, their rustling leaves whispering secrets just out of reach. "Where do we go?" Marco shouted, his breath quick and panicked. "Which way?" "Just keep running." Jack yelled back, desperation spilling out. "We need to find somewhere safe to regroup and figure this out." As they ran deeper into the woods, Sarah felt a sharp pain in her side, a reminder that fear could manifest itself physically. The darkness loomed behind them, and still, she could hear that laughter echoing in her mind, taunting and relentless. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a flash of light erupted around them, illuminating the trees with a glow so bright, Sarah had to shield her eyes. "What is that?" she gasped. Jack turned, squinting. "I don't know, but it could be our chance." They veered toward the light, every instinct telling them to go, to follow the flicker of hope. The laughter morphed into an agitated growl, shadows stretching and reaching for them, but they charged ahead, propelled by a desperate will to survive. Then they burst into a clearing, frozen in awe. Before them stood an ancient stone structure, weathered and covered in moss, but undeniably beautiful. "Is this even real?" Marco whispered, breathless as he took a step closer. "We'll find out," Jack responded, determination flaring. This could be a way to break the bond. But as they approached, a shattering realization hit them. The door to the structure was slightly ajar, a faint glow pulsing from within. Inside, they could feel something breathing, alive with an energy that was both inviting and ominous. "Do we dare?" Sarah's voice barely broke through the tension, every muscle thrumming with uncertainty. As the shadows hissed behind them, creeping ever closer, the decision loomed heavy. And just like that, they knew they were being drawn into the unpredictable. They stepped forward into the piercing light, unaware that a new darkness awaited them within. It was then that Jack felt the weight of fate pressing down, questioning whether they were ready to confront the truth that lurked behind the door. Were they truly prepared for what lay ahead? As they ventured into the unknown, a chilling thought gnawed at the edges of their minds. What if, escaping one darkness, they were walking directly into another? As the door creaked open, a rush of warm air enveloped them, contrasting the chilling night that had just chased them. The light inside pulsed, beckoning them forward, but hesitation gripped Sarah's heart. "What if we're walking into a trap?" she whispered, scanning the darkness beyond the threshold. "Only one way to find out," Jack said, stepping inside and glancing back. "Are you coming or not?" Marco exchanged a glance with Sarah, uncertainty etched on his face, but the laughter outside served as a painful reminder of their impending doom. With a reluctant nod, they followed Jack into the heart of the structure. Inside, the air was thick with an electric energy that crackled like static. The walls were lined with intricate carvings, swirling patterns that seemed to dance in the light. It felt alive and watching. As they stood there, the door slammed shut behind them, sealing them in with a resounding thud that echoed in the silence. "Great," Marco muttered, feeling the weight of fear settle heavily on his chest. "Just what we needed." "Focus," Jack said, brushing off Marco's comment. "We have to find a way to stop that thing from following us." As they stepped farther into the room, a grand archway split the far wall, leading to an inner chamber. The glow emanated from there, dancing shadows across their faces as they approached. "What do you think is in there?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling, both from fear and anticipation. "If it's anything like the house, I'd rather not find out," Marco said, his eyes darting about. "But we don't have a choice now." Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, and they felt a cool breeze brim with dread. An echoing voice surrounded them, slithering through the air. "You have entered my domain, foolish mortals, and now the game truly begins." Jack's pulse quickened as he turned towards the source of the voice. "What do you want from us?" he shouted, defiance mixing with panic. The accompanying shadows shifted, forming shapes that elongated and twisted. "You are the key. Each of you has a piece of history I require. Your secrets will reveal the path to breaking my chains." The paradoxical terror of the voice sent shivers down Sarah's spine. "What secrets?" she managed to stammer, desperate to stall whatever was threatening them. The voice laughed, rich and haunting. The truths you hide, the regrets you harbor. Unravel them, and you will find the answers you seek. But beware, lose yourself in the revelation, and you may find it impossible to return. Marco clenched his fists, glancing at Jack and Sarah. We can't trust it. It sounds like a lie. I don't care. Jack shot back. We have to figure out what it wants. Otherwise, we'll be lost in a way we can't even imagine. He took a step towards the innermost chamber, not about to let fear dictate their next move. As they entered, they were overwhelmed by a vision swirling around them, a kaleidoscope of memories and whispers intertwining. A flood of experiences washed over them, regrets, dreams, fears that engulfed their thoughts. Sarah began to tremble. It's too much, she gasped, battling to maintain her grip on reality. They stumbled collectively, minds racing, as visions flickered like old film reels, a lost love, family betrayal, a choice between loyalty and survival. The chamber pulsed with each revelation, and panic began to claw at Sarah's throat. Jack grabbed Sarah's arm. Fight it. Don't let it in. But the grip was slackening, the pressure of their secrets too great. The shadows tightened around them, growing more aggressive, more demanding. Sarah couldn't hold on, feeling her mind begin to splinter. Just as despair threatened to swallow her whole, she glimpsed a familiar face within the shadows, a figure she didn't expect to see. Mom? Sarah's voice broke, a desperate question hanging in the air. The laughter crescendoed, drowning her plea. Embrace the past, and then perhaps you may escape. In that moment of uncertainty, as truth and illusion entwined, a door began to materialize at the end of the chamber, flickering with a mystical glow, an unknown hope or another trap lying in wait. With hearts pounding, the trio shared a final glance, each grappling with their own private demons. Together? Jack said, uncertainty lacing his tone. Together. They echoed, moving towards the door. But was it true freedom or merely another path deeper into darkness? Just as they reached for the handle, it crumbled into dust at their touch. What awaited them on the other side would change everything they thought they knew. So many secrets, so many shadows. Would they dare step through, knowing that every choice bore a price? The particles of dust hung in the air like ghosts, swirling in the faint light as the last remnants of the door crumbled. Sarah's heart raced. What now? She said, her voice trembling. Jack's grip tightened on her shoulder. We can't panic. Let us find a way out. There has to be something. He turned to the shadows, glaring into the encroaching darkness. Show us. The voice returned, now deeper and more sinister. You cannot escape until the truths are revealed, until the secrets are shared. Only then will the path be made clear. Marco pressed his back against the cool stone wall, thoughts racing. What secrets? We've shared everything, haven't we? His brow furrowed, probing the depths of his memories. Not everything, Jack said, hesitating as he avoided Sarah's gaze. Think about it. Each of us has something we've never told the others. Something that could shut up. Sarah cried, cutting him off. You can't ask that of us. Not now. Not here. The walls felt like they were closing in, her pulse echoing through her temples. What if it wants us to break? Marco's voice wavered. What if it feeds off our fear? Our pain? Everyone has pain. And we are definitely in the right place for it, Jack said, moving to the center of the swirling shadows. The words slipped away as the shadows twisted into a dark mist, encircling them. This isn't just a house anymore. It's a manifestation of our fears. We have to fight it. With a deafening roar, the shadows lunged forward, whispering memories that clawed at them, chipping away their sanity piece by piece. Sarah was suddenly back in the past, old fears surfacing as if summoned. She saw her mother, weak and frightened, the last moments they shared, the decisions that tore them apart. I never asked her to forgive me, she whispered, tears spilling onto her cheeks. The cold laughter surrounded them once more. Will you embrace the truth, Sarah? Or will you deny it, remaining a prisoner in your own mind? No. I won't fall for your tricks. She screamed, clenching her teeth. You think you can manipulate me? I won't give in. Maybe not to you, but what about Jack? Or Marco? The voice taunted, shifting its focus. What binds them, and what burdens do they carry? In that moment, the chamber fractured, and reality blurred. Shadows lunged at Jack. Visions flickered as a memory of betrayal played out. A friend cut deep, the agonizing choice of friendship or survival, trap set by those he thought he could trust. Stop! He screamed, collapsing to his knees. I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't have a choice. Marco's hands trembled, their emotional turmoil became palpable. These shadows, they want us to hurt each other. They want us to unravel. Don't let them. We're stronger together. Sarah shouted, rallying her friends, summoning belief over despair. An unexpected warmth spread through the room. The shadows shuddered and hesitated, momentarily weakened by their unity. What are you doing? The voice growled, rage lacing its tone. Facing the truth, Jack said, rallying. The only way to end this is to expose our fears before they drown us. But what if Marco began, but Sarah cut him off. No time, Marco. We need to break these chains. Together. I'll start. Sarah stepped forward, fear clinging to her throat. I was angry I never got the chance to say goodbye. My mother deserved better. The shadows twitched, flickering with hesitation. Jack followed. I betrayed my best friend when I needed him most. For that, I've paid. Marco swallowed, staring at the shifting darkness. I never told you how scared I was of losing you both. How I thought it might be easier in my silence. With each confession, the shadows shrank. But just as clarity began to emerge, dark tendrils lunged out violently, sensing their growing strength. Finish it. The voice howled in fury, a cacophony of hatred erupting from the walls. Do it, we can do this. Sarah shouted. They circled together, hands clasped. This ends now. As their voices rose higher, an impossible melody flowed from their collective pain, raw, excruciating, yet liberating. The darkness shrieked, ripping apart as their truths collided like thunder. Echoing shouts transformed into a symphony of light, illuminating the chamber and revealing their path through the chaos, but as shimmering light burst forth, a horrifying revelation loomed above. The final shadow lurked in the center, a figure cloaked in darkness, grinning. Congratulations. You've only unraveled the surface. What lies beneath is far more sinister. A siren's wail mixed with an anguished cry echoed through the chamber as they recoiled. The real battle was just beginning. What awaited them in this newfound light? Would the truth worth facing be the end, or harbinger of eternal torment? The darkness quivered, the air thick with tension. Sarah, Jack, and Marco stood their ground, hearts pounding in unison. The grin on the figure intensified, deepening the shadows around it like a swirling abyss. Each breath felt heavy, soaked in dread. What do you want from us? Jack's voice trembled as he took a cautious step forward, defiance mixing with fear. The shadowy figure leaned forward, its eyes like flickering embers. You are but pawns in a game you do not comprehend. Every truth shared, every pain exposed simply moves the pieces further across the board. What does that even mean? Marco interjected, fists clenching at his sides. You think we're afraid? We've faced our demons. Oh, you faced them, yes. But the ultimate truth, it remains hidden. The figure chuckled darkly, sending chills down their spines. You believed you were fighting for liberation, but instead, you've awakened something far worse. The chamber itself seemed to respond, groaning with an eerie resonance. The walls pulsed, vibrating with unspoken energy, and the shadows shifted ominously, like a living entity ready to consume them whole. Whatever it is, we'll face it, Sarah asserted, her voice wavering but resolute. We've come too far to turn back now. Brave words, the shadow sneered, but bravery does not shield you from the truth. You must each confront your own darkness fully. Otherwise, you will be trapped here forever. An audible gasp escaped from Sarah as a small alcove formed in the wall beside her, revealing a flickering image. It was a reflection of her childhood home, her mother standing there looking lost and broken. The figure reached out, and the air around it crackled with cold despair. "No," she stammered, stepping back. "I can't. I want to relive that." "Ah, but this is your prize for sharing," it quipped, gesturing toward the image. "The truth you bury will haunt you. Are you brave enough to face it?" The memory enveloped her, pulling her into the depths of her sorrow. She felt the weight of her past pressing down on her, each regret a sharp blade. There was no escape from the turmoil that awaited her. "Sarah!" Jack shouted, lunging towards her, but he was grabbed by Marco. "Don't. We can't lose her." Another alcove opened, this time for Jack. He could see a reflection of himself the night of betrayal. His heart raced, every detail painfully clear. No, not that. He struggled to fight against the pull, but the shadow held him fast, revealing layers of guilt that festered inside. Marco stood, torn between them. "What about me? What truth do you seek from me?" His voice quaked. "I don't have anything, but you do." The figure hissed, spinning toward him. "You bury your fear, thinking it will keep you safe. But only by embracing the darkness will you break free." With that, another image ignited in the alcove: his childhood, surrounded by shadows cast by his own silence. Friends lost, relationships fractured, all due to the walls he had built. It sucked the air from his lungs. "No!" Marco yelled, taking a step back, eyes wide in horror. He could feel the weight of their collective pain in the air. "Don't do this." Just as despair began to loom over them, Sarah found the strength to pull herself together. "No matter how deep the shadows go, we can do this together," she shouted, forcing her gaze from the torment back to her friends. "Remember what brought us here. It was our fear that chains us, but our unity that has brought light. We can push through." As if fueled by her words, Jack broke free from the haunting image, anger fusing with determination. "Let us all face our truths together. We aren't weak, we are strong." The darkness writhed, furious at their defiance. "You cannot face what you deny," it shrieked, the shadows intensifying, but Sarah, Jack, and Marco clasped hands tightly, forming a circle, a beacon in the chaos. The warmth of their camaraderie ignited a blinding spark that shot through the torment, their voices merging into one powerful declaration. "We will confront our truths, no matter how dark." The shadows recoiled, but in that fleeting moment of defiance, something deep within the darkness rumbled, revealing a flicker of uncertainty. "No, stay away from the light." Within that flicker, hope glimmered. But before they could seize it, the shadows collapsed around them, swirling into a vortex of rage. A bone-chilling scream pierced through the chamber, shaking their resolve. With hearts pounding, they braced themselves, unsure if the next moment would bring clarity or absolute chaos. The figure glowered at them, a sinister promise lingering in the air. "What lies beneath will drown you if you fail." As the room began to tilt and twist, the question loomed: could they truly face what awaited them within the depths of their own souls, or would they be consumed by the very darkness they sought to unearth? The swirling shadows felt alive, pulsating with a menacing rhythm that echoed in the depths of their minds. Sarah, Jack, and Marco were now engulfed in a storm of memories, their pasts colliding with the insidious whispers of the figure before them. "Run!" Jack shouted, promoting instinct over thought. He felt the tendrils of darkness latching onto his ankles, dragging him toward the vortex. But Sarah, bolstered by their shared strength, yelled back, "No! We stand together." She tightened her grip on Jack's hand, refusing to let fear dictate their fate. The air thickened, squeezing their chests. Marco's eyes darted. "What if we can't handle it? What if we don't make it out?" Panic flared in his voice, weaving through the tension like a thread of doubt. "Remember what the figure said. It thrives on our fear." Sarah countered, her voice cutting through the mounting chaos. We never got this far by retreating. A tremor shook the floor beneath them, and the shadows writhed in response, eager to swallow them whole. Heartbeats thundered, yet there was a flicker of control sparking within the turmoil. The walls of the chamber twisted, and the figure's face contorted into a loathsome sneer. Brave words, but let us see how brave you truly are when faced with your essence. As if answering its command, new alcoves burst open, revealing more grotesque images, deeper fears that clawed at their resolve. Sarah instinctively stumbled back, her childhood home morphing into a prison of heartache and abandonment. The sight of her mother's broken expression haunted her, whispering promises of unworthiness and despair. Sarah, Jack urged, sensing her pull back into the depths of sorrow. He fought to redirect their focus. Look at me. Remember the love we share. You are strong, and you can face this. With a deep breath, Sarah summoned courage. No more running. I choose life. She broke free from the picture and felt the weight lift as she confronted the truth. The shadowy figure screeched, a high-pitched wail almost primal in its fury. You resist, but I will reveal all. As it spoke, Marco's alcove exploded into vivid horror faces of those he had failed, jutting out from the darkness. Friends lost to his silence, regret wrapping around his neck like a noose. No. I'm not afraid of them. Marco shouted, defiance eclipsing terror. I refuse to let you manipulate my past. Jack nodded, and along with Sarah, he focused all his energy. Together, we will confront whatever comes. The three of them channeled their fear into power, voices rising in unison, breaking the looming silence. We will not be consumed. Suddenly, a blinding light surged from their clasped hands, illuminating the chamber. The shadows hesitated, faltering under the brilliance. No, no, no. The dark figure shrieked, its voice cracking in rage. The force of their unity was palpable, weakening the grip of despair that had entwined around them. But the darkness wasn't done yet. It began to spiral faster, its intensity ramping up as if it were about to erupt. The chamber shook violently, their feet barely held their ground. The feel of absolute chaos surrounded them, contrasting with the hope boiling within. Can we truly conquer our past? Sarah wondered, doubt flickering briefly. We have to. Jack replied fiercely, determination fueling every word. With one final push, they concentrated on each shared truth: the pain, the lessons, the love. The shadows screamed and writhed, imploding into themselves, unraveling like a spool of thread. But then, amidst the disarray, a deep rumble echoed within the chamber, louder than anything they had felt before. You think you can leave? The figure roared. You only awaken the true darkness. A crack appeared in the floor, revealing an ominous void beneath, swirling with shadows darker than night. The air churned around them, suffocating and heavy. What now? Marco shouted, panic surging in his voice as the ground threatened to split them apart. As the darkness surged upward, they held on tighter, defying the urge to let go. In that crucial moment, each glimpse of their past flashed before their eyes. Each scar and memory not chains, but markers of resilience. But they knew they had one final truth left to embrace. Could that truth save them, or would it shatter everything they built? Time ticked relentlessly as they faced the chasm of fear together. With hearts racing, they plunged toward the unknown, toward the dark truth waiting to confront them. Could unity conquer the encroaching void, or would it lead to their ultimate downfall? The darkness roared, a hellish wind swirling around them, threatening to tear them asunder. As they fell into the void, the world shifted. They plunged deeper into the abyss, the shadows clawing at their skin like icy fingers. Ever so briefly, Jack felt himself slipping away, the echoes of despair erasing their collective struggles from his mind, but Sarah's voice broke through, sharp and clear. Jack. Marco. Focus. Her voice sliced through the turmoil, anchoring them. In the depths of chaos, they could feel their bond, a lifeline in the storm. Jack clenched Sarah's hand tighter, feeling the warmth that defied the cold, the connection pulsing with life, the void twisted and morphed, shades colliding and swirling, forming images of their deepest fears once more. But this time, they stood firm, rooted in the truth they had fought for. Jack's heart raced as he was drawn to a vision of betrayal. He saw a crumpled letter from a childhood friend, each word dripping with resentment and abandonment. "You left me," it whispered, echoing in his ears. But even as those words clawed at him, he felt Sarah's grip, solid and reassuring. "No," he shouted, breaking the spell. "That's not who I am. I choose trust." The vision flickered and faded, his resolve imbuing the air with heat. Marco followed suit. Images of his silent screams during the darkest moments of his life unfurled, but with every flash of his regret, Marco shouted out, "No more silence." The shadows trembled, a violent shudder coursing through them. His voice charged the atmosphere, lighting the dark with a flicker of hope. "We can't let this consume us," Sarah yelled, facing the swirling darkness that threatened to overwhelm them. "We are not our past. We are the choices we make now." The figure snarled, shadows swirling into an even thicker mass, trying to absorb their words, extinguishing their spirit. But unity surged between them, a beacon of light against the frantic energy. In tandem, they faced the darkness. "We choose light," Jack cried, lifting their joined hands, which began to shimmer with an otherworldly glow. Every ounce of fear transformed into a beacon that pierced the obsidian void, causing the shadows to shrink, to quiver. Then, within the heart of the darkness, they glimpsed a glimmer, a radiant tear that glowed like a distant star. It called to them, pulsing like a heartbeat, beckoning them toward it. "Look!" Sarah screamed, her eyes wide. "We can reach it." Sweeping forward, they raced toward the light. But the shadows clawed back, the malevolent figure shrieking in anguish. "You think you can escape? I am eternal." Silence crackled around them, suddenly palpable, heavy. But they were undeterred, each step igniting their courage. The light pulsed brighter, igniting the air with warmth, each surge infusing their hearts with strength. The closer they got, the more alive they felt. Every burden lifted, every tear shed transformed into fuel. Just as they reached out, a bellowing wave of darkness surged forward to swallow them. "No!" Marco shouted, pushing against the fear, pouring his heart into a final declaration of power. Together. In unison, they screamed, "Together!" Breaking the sound barrier, an explosion of raw energy flooding the air, washing over the darkness. With one final surge, they thrust their hands into the radiant tear. The light erupted around them, drowning the shadows. And then sudden stillness, the world inverted, and they found themselves standing at the entrance of a hallway bathed in golden light. The shadows were gone. Breathing heavily, disbelief coursed through them. Had they done it? Had they truly escaped? But a whisper echoed down the hallway, lingering like a ghost. "But the darkness is not gone, it's only waiting. What will you do when it finds you again?" Their hearts dropped, shadowy tendrils already creeping at the edges of their minds. Had they truly escaped, or was this merely the beginning? The answer lay ahead, shrouded in uncertainty. What truths would they uncover next? Silence enveloped the trio as they stood at the threshold, illuminated by soft, golden light. The oppressive weight of the darkness, which had clawed at them and whispered lies, seemed a million miles away. Marco stared ahead, tears welling in his eyes. What now? Jack looked back at his friends, determination tightening his jaw. "We keep moving forward. We've faced the darkness, but the battle for light isn't over. We need to confront it next time. Together." Sarah took a deep breath, her heart steadying after the chaos. "We've made it this far. Whatever lies ahead, we'll face it together." The words rallied a sense of defiance, a determination ignited by their bond, a truth forged in the fires of fear and sorrow. With renewed purpose, they stepped down the golden hallway, its walls shimmering like a dream. Every pulse of light felt like a promise that echoed in their chests. But as they ventured deeper, the sense of unease returned. Shadows flickered at the edges of the light, lingering traces of the pain and fear they had fought to escape. "Remember that voice?" Marco murmured, glancing back, a hint of dread in his eyes. The one that said the darkness would be waiting? They're right, Jack said, his shoulders tensing. We're on borrowed time. The darkness will crawl back if we don't face it head-on. They moved forward, the air thickening with memories that whispered and fluttered at the corners of their minds, reminders of their fears, their regrets. Yet, now those shadows felt less like chains and more like echoes of strength. Suddenly, the hallway curved sharply, leading them to a vast chamber filled with light. The walls were adorned with vibrant mosaics, telling tales of bravery, unity, and life's endless struggles against the dark. Yet, at the chamber's heart, an ominous sight greeted them. A large mirror stood embedded with swirling mist, reflecting their faces, their true selves amidst flickers of doubt and strength intertwined. "Is this?" Sarah began, but her words faded into the honeyed glow of the chamber. "Is this us?" Jack stepped closer, peering into the mirror. The swirling images revealed glimmers of their individual fears, their intertwined struggles, but there was hope woven through the chaos. "We can't hide from what made us. But we can learn." The mirror trembled, and the shadows that had lurked became more defined, swirling as they shifted to confront them. The voice echoed, deep and guttural. "You dare challenge the past, yet you remain bound to it. Face your reflections, children of sorrow. You will either fall into despair or rise in unity." Their breath quickened as an inner vortex began to pull them closer to the mirror. Every dark moment they had faced converged into one daunting question: could they truly face the reflection of their past and rewrite it? "Let us do it," Marco shouted, fists clenched, gripping the other two's hands. "Together, we resisted the darkness. We can control what comes next." They stepped closer, hearts thundering in rhythm as beams of light ignited around them. "Together," they chanted, voices harmonizing, drawing power from each other as they reached toward the mirror. Suddenly, the reflections began to shift, revealing vivid scenes of vulnerability and heartache. Sarah saw moments of her mother's pain and her own silent suffering. Jack saw the faces of friends he had hurt, and Marco was faced with the echoes of friendships lost due to his silence. "Embrace it. Embrace them," Sarah cried out, pulling strength from their shared burdens. "This is our past, but doesn't it define our future?" The shadowy essence within the mirror twisted and shrieked as their voices rose higher. The more they spoke about their truths, the weaker the darkness became, fissures forming within its shadowy grasp. The light intensified, filling the chamber with warmth. Suddenly, the mirror shattered, the shards showering them with light and warmth. They felt each shard piece them back together, healing the cuts from a myriad of battles fought before. The darkness writhed, screaming in agony. As the final pieces of darkness crumbled, Sarah gasped for breath, chest heaving. "It's over," she whispered, hope blossoming in her chest. But Jack stepped forward, still wrapped in thought. "Not yet. The darkness isn't gone. We know it'll return." "Then we're ready," Marco declared, standing taller now. "We've faced it once, and we'll face it again. We might be scared, but we're stronger than we were before." Suddenly, an echo of laughter rippled through the chamber, surrounding them. "You've disrupted my game today, mortals, but I am inevitable. You will return, and your fears will rise again. Remember that." The warmth of victory felt fragile now, but the trio exchanged glances filled with understanding, hearts beating as one. "Not if we don't let it," Jack said. "We will not be defined by our fears. We are more than they ever could be." With newfound resolve, they walked through the remnants of the chamber. The path before them shimmered with potential, a doorway leading to a world beyond their darkest nightmares. They knew the darkness would always be there, lurking in the back of their minds, but they had the power to walk alongside it, not be consumed. Life awaited beyond the shadows, an adventure that transcended fear. Together, they were ready to embrace it. Now it was time to step into a brighter light, the dawn of a new journey, armed with hope, unity, and the strength of truths paved in the glow of their shared experiences. Together, and with that, a shift was felt. A new chapter began, echoing the unity of their hearts undeterred by the dark remnants that still lingered. "Now, if you've made it this far," Something special is waiting for you. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will take you on even more thrilling adventures. And smash that like button to make sure the algorithm feeds you more spine-tingling tales. Did this ending shock you? Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. We want to know your thoughts on what they will face next. This is the moment to show your support, impact others by instantly sharing this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. The journey continues, and you don't want to miss a moment of it.